Good morning, everybody. It's your favorite aspiring revolutionary here, a wandering author, reminding you that we are all the authors of our own lives. As always, my message remains the same. Spend less, live more, earn your freedom with frugality. Today, we are pretty close to the Duncan Bridge Marina. I actually went underneath it already, but it's kind of hard to record a video. It's Friday, so this lake is actually a little crowded today. But we found a little secluded inlet, and we're going to finish up our discussion of the downfall of the Roman Republic. So last time we spoke about the second triumvirate, which established just after Caesar's death. Mark Antony, Octavian, and Marcus Lepidus, I think is how you pronounce his name, formed another triumvirate, and they actually officially partitioned the empire between themselves. Now, I do want us all to keep in mind here, the entire reason we're discussing Roman history is just to illustrate that cutthroat men are usually the ones that end up with power in human societies. If you look at it, whether you're talking about the Achaemenid Persian Empire in the time of Cyrus, like Old Testament era, the Mongols, Romans, it's almost always looked to me like a mob boss mafia family style dynamic, right? So after the Republic gets killed by Caesar and then Caesar's assassinated, we see this mad scramble for power between all of the different top guys at the time, right? Octavian was the adopted son of Caesar, and so the title of emperor seemed rightfully to belong to him, but he did partner with Mark Antony during the initial civil war following Caesar's death against the Senate. They split these up. Octavian gets the western portion, which is actually the poorer region, while Mark Antony gets the east. Marcus Lepidus gets some portions, but he's sidelined by events, essentially. He's inconsequential. Now, Mark Antony has the better army, the larger army on paper, and he's got the wealthier territory over in the east, right? Both of these men don't have any intention of honoring the people's will. They're all in it for themselves, right? So what happens next is Mark Antony ends up getting into, he falls in love with Cleopatra, basically. And he goes to war against Parthia. His soldiers get decimated. Now, Octavian in the west senses his weakness, and he sees that Mark Antony divorces his wife or somebody in his family, in Octavian's family, severing their links together. And then what follows is Octavian sends his army over the Adriatic in chasing after Mark Antony. He corners them with Cleopatra in there, and then they commit suicide. And that's it. That's the end of the Roman Republic. So, to get to this point, Octavian had to be ruthless, immoral, but at the same time he was weak, self-serving. A ton of negative attributes could be attributed to him, and many historians have debated what kind of man he really was since all of this happened. But what we do know for sure is that after Mark Antony's death, we see the Pax Romana, which unfortunately is like the best time period in Roman's history for a very long time, right? So the Pax Romana is a period of about 100 years of complete peace and stability after, almost 80 years of constant civil war. I don't know, I guess it depends on how you count them, but they're like 3 or 4 right there at the end of the Republic. Now, the Republic still isn't dead, quote unquote. Like the Senate still meets and stuff, but they're no longer in control of anything, right? So they kind of, the first phase of the Roman Empire is called the Principate. And it gets that name because what Octavian had people call him, like his title, was Princeps, first among many, first son. And he styled himself not as like a superior being, but it did not take long before we exit the Principate and enter the official Roman imperial era, the Dominate, where like the emperor is treated like a living god above all the other men of the time. Now, the entire reason we started talking about all of Rome and everything up until now wasn't to talk about super powerful men, but really to illustrate some key principles about human society and civilization, particularly in our Western tradition. Our ancestors have all dealt with similar things to the things that we deal with on a daily basis. And in all human societies, there have been a handful of people in general that have controlled most of the productivity, wealth, and resources. And then the rest of the people are just average people, right? Towards the end of the Roman Empire, we see massive concentration of wealth and property ownership. Like I said, right around the time of the Third Servile War, there's portions of Italy where half of the people, like the population, are slaves, right? We don't see actual literal slavery in our society today, but we definitely see a lot of debt slavery where people are just earning enough to get by and they really don't own anything. Many people now are basically stuck in debt slavery type jobs and don't own any property. What we saw in Rome's time was the people quit fighting for the Republic and they started fighting for themselves and for great men who promised to enrich them. People kind of lost sight of why they even founded a republic to begin with, right? And I don't know that there's an easy answer to any of this. Truthfully, my recommendation, as always, is to spend less and live more. Even like Viktor Frankl with Man's Search for Meaning, like you could be in a concentration camp and still find some kind of peace, right? By finding meaning. Now, obviously, most of us, thankfully, are not in such horrible situations ourselves. And I happen to be in a particularly blessed situation. But I don't know that we're going to trump man's worse nature. And I think that we may very well see that cutthroat men are always the ones who end up with power. Mainly because good people aren't going to search for power, and evil ones are going to be willing to kill for it. Right? So I just think that there's a general tendency for the world to kind of end up in that situation, unfortunately, and I believe our history kind of confirms that belief. So I may continue speaking about Rome in the future. We might do like a retrospective where we kind of look at the broad strokes and really talk about like the implications of what all this stuff means. But again, history's been controlled by mafia-style cutthroat men, and it's probably going to continue being that way forever. What we can do is cultivate equanimity, or like the Roman Stoics said, equanimitas, and learn how to be happy with whatever life has handed us. Definitely, I strongly encourage everybody to spend less, earn your freedom with frugality. We may, in the future, talk about the Achaemenid Persian Empire and like Cyrus Old Testament Bible time era and look at some imperial power wealth dynamics from that era. I've also considered going forward in time to the French and American revolutions because those are both incredibly important and pertinent stuff. But I will probably be focusing more on the Great Depression as well as like the Federal Reserve and some more topical topics. As we move forward, holy shit, something just nibbled me. But yeah, so what are you guys doing in order to inspire, uplift, and empower your community today? Because this world isn't changing unless we all do our part, and you can count on me to do mine daily. So until next time, you guys have a good day now. Love you guys.